Welcome to the Course in Miracles Letting Go live stream sessions. Today we're on lesson 157, Into His Presence Would I Enter Now. And back live over the weekend was facilitating an event, Realize Your Ultimate Riches. And so the whole idea appearing to the physical world being, there's this incredible valuing of this illusion, and that might be like money or stuff and all the stuff money buys and so on and so forth. And when we are acknowledging what we really are, is any of that stuff even matter? Not that you don't experience that stuff. The last couple of lessons, it's like, yeah, it's going to appear to the people around you like you're still in the illusion with them. They won't notice any difference as you'll appear as you've appeared before, though it will be very different for you. And those who look upon you, who are experiencing their reality, they will see that you're there. And those who don't, this illusion is maintained as long as it's useful, so that people will still look to you and follow you and go with you. As God leads you, you lead them. This is a really joyous function. Freedom from the illusion, freedom from the world, and an experience of what you really are, what's actually going on. And in letting go, there's this resisting of the positive. And so when I'm doing sessions with people, they may be really resistant to the idea of resisting the positive. Though if the truth of what we are is God's son, am I not already resisting what I am all the time? Am I not like, no, don't let me see heaven. Like heaven, I like the illusion. I want the illusion. So this resistance is already happening. So when I take you through resisting the positive, understand it's not to create more resistance. It's to bring up the resistance that's already there so that you can let it go and have an experience. Let heaven through. Let the Christ through. Let the light that you are emerge and shine on all of your brothers. So in this lesson, we're going to be, it says today's a day to learn the joy of life that's here. So the joy of life, already here. I've been resisting it. What does that resistance look like? What does it feel like? Well, it's these negative emotions. It's this idea, I'm unworthy of this task, Father. I'm guilty, or I'm bad, or I'm scared. I'm scared if I don't value the illusion that I'm going to be hurt and I'm going to die. What we've been doing is, what does it say here? There's this, I've spent long days and nights in celebrating death. Spent a lot of time in the death game, believing that that's possible and that I need to make all these plans and have all this fear to prevent death. Life is all there is, brothers. That's all that really is. So let's go ahead and clear out some of this resistance to life and what it is as we enter into his presence. Into his presence would I enter now. Let's do some releasing. Into his presence would I enter now. So I've spent all this time avoiding his presence, as if that was possible. Nope, not going to look at that. Got all these feelings coming up that, like, no, this is God's not here. I'm afraid. So just noticing that any of these feelings that come up for you in this process are just to be released. They're not true. They're not real. The truth is obviously apparent on a different level than that of this illusion. So could you notice any resisting joy, any resisting light, any resisting entering into the presence of what is? Anything that comes up, unworthiness, anger, fear, anything that comes up, all just resisting what actually is. And so could you allow that energy up? Could you allow that darkness up to light so it can be enlightened, so you can be enlightened? Could you feel any resistance to being in the joyful light of his presence now? And could you allow that to come up? It's not to fear the darkness. The darkness dissolves if you just let it come to light. Could you allow whatever is coming up for you, any resistance to being in his presence now? The Christ is here right now in you. Is there any resistance to that? Any hiding from it? Any feeling as if that isn't so? And could you just let that up? Bring it to light. And could you let go of this feeling, this darkness, this resistance to his presence here and now? Would you let go? When could you let go of resisting his presence? Into his presence I enter now. Into his presence would I enter now. His presence already here. God, the Christ, joy, light, and love, all that's actually here. And I've spent so much of this life resisting that presence. All this fear, this guilt, this anger and pride. It's okay. It's okay. I'm allowing this to come to light now. Any resisting being entering into this presence now. Could you just allow up any resistance, any feeling that comes up that's resisting, denying or refusing what already is here now? His presence, the Christ presence. Could it be okay to bring this darkness to light? Just a feeling. Just a feeling. Could you let that feeling up? Allow that resistance up to be enlightened in his presence. Could you let that up? Quit stuffing it down. Just feeling that feeling just for a moment. And could you release? Would you release any of this resistance, any of this feeling, and be in his presence now? When could you release the resistance and enter now into his presence to be received? You already are. And this can be a powerful experience. It's nothing to fear to allow up the resistance. It's already been there. There's not more coming up. Already been carrying this resistance to his presence. The letting go is to allow that up and to let it go rather than holding it, hiding it. So into his presence would I enter now. Into the joy of heaven would I enter now. Into my holy function and purpose would I enter now. Into his presence, the presence of God, the presence of Christ, would I enter now. And that very decision will bring up anything other than that. It's okay. Could you allow up any resistance to entering into his presence, to being in his presence that already is present now? Could you open up and allow any of this feeling, any of this fear, this guilt, anger, or pride, anything that comes up? Just resisting this presence, it's not even real. Could you bring the darkness, the illusion to light? Would you fear a passing fog? Could you allow this to come up? Just let it come up. It's okay. And just allow that resistance to being in his presence now. Bring it all up. No longer will I hide any of this. Just letting this feeling come up, letting it move, letting it be there, to be enlightened by his presence. Could you feel this feeling just for now? And surrender it. Give it up. Give up the resistance. Maybe it stays. Maybe it goes. Just surrendering. We've often held onto this quite tightly. Could you just surrender it? Let it go. Would you surrender? Would you surrender this resistance to God, to the Christ, to his presence? When could you surrender? Give up resisting being in his presence now. Into Christ's presence we enter now. Could you allow yourself to be in his presence now? Allowing him to show you his face, to look upon his face, his presence, the presence of Christ. It's okay if there's resistance, just allowing any more up, bringing it to light, letting that be enlightened. And would you enter into his presence now? It's just a choice. Would you enter in to his presence now? Free to the joy of life now. Well done releasing, and enjoy this special day. Could you allow any resistance that comes up in this day to his presence and just give it to him? Just let it be enlightened. Nothing to fear. And it's okay if there's fear, just letting it up, letting it be there, letting it move in the light of God, in the light of the Christ, in the light that you are in truth. You never were disillusioned. Thanks for letting go.